3 weeks after the confrontation in Earth's solar system, representatives from across the galaxy gathered at the neutral station called Harmony Point. The massive space station had been built centuries ago as a place where different species could meet safely. But today, the usual calm of Harmony Point was replaced by tension and fear. Fleet Admiral Chris Anderson walked into the great assembly hall wearing the blue uniform of Earth's Space Navy. Behind him came the other members of humanity's diplomatic team. They moved with quiet confidence, knowing that hidden human ships surrounded the station. Around the huge circular table sat delegates from 43 different alien species. Some had come to support their allies. Others had come to see this new threat for themselves. All of them watched the humans with a mixture of curiosity and fear. High Commander Vel Roth of the Velkari Empire stood as the humans entered. His reptilian features showed anger and frustration. "These creatures have violated every law of galactic civilization," he announced to the assembly. "They have spied on our worlds, infiltrated our governments, and stolen our technology. They are a threat to the peace of the galaxy." Murmurs of agreement came from several delegations. The Saurian Alliance nodded their large heads. The machine Collective's robots clicked in mechanical approval. President Maria Santos took her seat at the table and looked around the room calmly. "High Commander," she said, "we have violated no laws because we were never part of your legal system. We have harmed no one and taken nothing but knowledge that was freely broadcast across space." "You have agents living among our people," Velroth shouted. "Observers," Santos corrected, "who have done nothing but watch and learn. Your people are safe, and your secrets remain secret." Dr. Emma Thompson, head of Project Looking Glass, stood up and activated a holographic display. It showed a detailed map of the galaxy with thousands of points of light. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, "for the past century, humanity has been watching and learning. We know the location of every inhabited world, every trade route, every military base in the galaxy." The alien delegates shifted nervously as they realized the scope of human intelligence gathering. "But more importantly," Dr. Thompson continued, "we know which of you are friends and which are enemies. We know who can be trusted and who cannot." The display changed to show different colored lights: green for peaceful species, yellow for neutral ones, and red for aggressive civilizations. "We have no quarrel with species that respect the rights of others," President Santos said, "but we will not tolerate being treated as inferiors by anyone." Chancellor Mortek of the Galactic Council spoke up. The ancient being had been the Council's leader for over 200 years. "Humans," he said in his deep, slow voice, "you speak of rights, but rights come with responsibilities. How can we trust a species that has been deceiving us from the young?" "Beginning?" Ambassador Tony Clark smiled and stood up. "Chancellor, we haven't been deceiving anyone. We've been preparing. There's a difference." He gestured to the display, which now showed human colonies throughout the galaxy. "While you were debating what to do about the primitive humans, we were establishing settlements on uninhabited worlds. We now have colonies in 16 different star systems." The alien delegates erupted in shocked conversation. This was impossible. They would have detected human expansion. "How?" demanded the insectoid Queen Vestra. "Our sensors would have found your ships," Dr. Thompson smiled. "Your Majesty, we've been building ships that your sensors can't detect. For 20 years. We've been colonizing worlds that you don't even know exist." The display showed beautiful worlds with human cities and farms. Millions of people living and working on planets that the galactic community had never discovered. "We didn't take anyone's world," Ambassador Clark explained. "We found empty planets and made them our homes." Commander Zextar returned to his flagship with his mind spinning. The meeting on Earth had changed everything he thought he knew about the universe. As soon as he was back on his ship, he sent an emergency message to the Velkari High Command. "The humans are not what we expected," he reported. "They have been watching us for decades. They have technology that matches or exceeds our own. They have weapons and ships hidden throughout their system." The response came back within hours. High Commander Velroth's voice was cold and angry. "This is unacceptable. No primitive species should have such capabilities. You will demand that they submit to galactic oversight immediately." Zexstar felt a chill run down his spine. "Sir, I don't think they will agree to that." "Then you will make them agree. Take whatever steps are necessary." Similar conversations were happening on the other alien ships. The Crystalline Confederation was outraged that humans had been spying on them. The hive mind was disturbed that their communications had been intercepted for so long. Within days, more alien ships began arriving in Earth's solar system. The 3 rescue fleets were joined by military vessels from 7 different species. They took positions around Earth, forming what looked like a blockade. On Earth, General Lucas White watched the alien buildup from his command center. "Mom," he said to Admiral Foster, "we have 43 alien warships in our system now. More are coming." Admiral Foster nodded calmly. "Are our people ready?" "Yes, ma'am." "All fleet commanders are standing by." Captain Sam Mitchell was piloting his fighter squadron through an asteroid field near Jupiter when the orders came through. "All units, this is command. Prepare for possible combat operations." Sam had been training for this moment his entire adult life. His squadron flew ships that were faster and more maneuverable than anything the aliens had. They were ready. Dr. Rachel Green watched from her laboratory as her weapon systems powered up across the solar system. Hidden gun platforms emerged from asteroids. Orbital defense stations dropped their camouflage. The alien fleets suddenly found themselves surrounded by human weapons they hadn't known existed. "Sir," Commander Zexstar sensor officer reported, with panic in his voice, "there are human weapon systems everywhere. We're completely surrounded." Zexstar looked at his displays in shock. Massive guns pointed at his ships from dozens of directions. Fighter squadrons that appeared from nowhere were taking positions around his fleet. "How is this possible?" "He whispered. The answer came over his communication system. It was Admiral Foster's voice, calm and professional. "Commander Zexstar, you and your allies have brought warships into our system without permission. Please explain your intentions." Before Zexstar could answer, High Commander Velroth's voice came over the fleet communication channel. "Humans, you will power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Your species will be placed under galactic protection for your own safety." There was a pause. Then Admiral Foster replied, "I'm sorry, but that's not going to happen." What happened next shocked every alien in the system. Human ships that had been hiding throughout the solar system suddenly appeared. They moved with impossible speed and precision, taking positions that cut off every escape route. Commander Tyler Johnson led his Special Forces team aboard their stealth ship as they approached the alien flagship. His soldiers wore advanced armor that made them invisible to alien sensors. "Remember," he told his team, "we're not here to start a war. We're here to end one before it begins." The aliens soon discovered that their secure communications were being jammed. Their weapon systems were being disrupted by technology they didn't understand. Their ship's computers were being accessed by human hackers who knew their systems better than they did. On the Crystalline Confederation flagship, Ambassador Thelmos watched in amazement as human technical specialists somehow appeared on his bridge. "How did you get aboard my ship?" he asked. Engineer Maya Lopez looked up from the control panel she was working on. "We've been studying your ship designs for 20 years, Ambassador. We know exactly how they work." She finished her work, and the ship's main computer displayed a message in perfect crystalline language. System compromised. Human access granted. Similar scenes were playing out across the alien fleet. Human soldiers appeared where they shouldn't. Be able to go. Human technicians accessed systems that should have been impossible to hack. Human pilots flew circles around alien fighters that should have been faster. Dr. Velthana felt the confusion of her hive sisters as their ships lost control of their own systems. Human hackers had somehow tapped into the hive mind network itself. "This is impossible," she transmitted to her people. "They understand our technology better than we do." The response from her hive queen was filled with fear. How can a species that just discovered space travel know so much about our most advanced systems? On Earth, Intelligence Director Kate Lewis was coordinating the operation from her command center. Screens around her showed the status of every alien ship in the system. "Ma'am," one of her technicians reported, "we have control of 70% of their fleet systems. The rest are offline to prevent further access." "Good," Lewis replied. "Now show them what we can really do." Across the solar system, human ships began demonstrating capabilities that should have been impossible. They moved through space in ways that defied alien understanding of physics. They fired weapons that had twice the range and 3 times the power of anything in the alien. Arsenal. Captain Danny Martinez commanded the flagship, New Horizon, as it performed maneuvers that left alien observers speechless. His ship could turn on a point, accelerate to impossible speeds, and stop instantly without any apparent effect on the crew. "How are they doing that?" Commander Zextar asked his science officer. "I don't know, sir. Their technology appears to manipulate gravity itself." The demonstration continued for 6 hours. By the end, it was clear to every alien in the system that humanity had not just caught up to galactic technology. They had surpassed it. Admiral Foster opened a communication channel to all alien ships. "Gentlemen, I think we've made our point. Your fleets are disabled, but undamaged. Your crews are safe, but your weapons are offline. You came here to force us to submit. Instead, you've discovered that we're not the helpless species you thought we were." High Commander Velroth's voice came over the channel, filled with rage and confusion. "This is impossible. You're a primitive species. You shouldn't have this technology." General White took over the communication. "Commander, we've been studying your technology for a century. We've had the best minds of our species working on improvements for 50 years. Did you really think we would stay primitive forever?" "But the resources alone, double quotes," Velroth protested. "We've been mining asteroids for 30 years, General White replied. "We've built factories in space and on distant moons. We've been preparing for this day since we first heard your radio signals." Ambassador Watson joined the conversation. "Commanders, you have a choice. You can return to your governments and report that humanity is ready to join the galactic community as an equal partner. Or you can try to fight us and discover that we're more than ready for that too." The alien fleets hung in space, their weapons useless, their ships compromised, their crews unharmed, but thoroughly defeated. "What do you want from us?" Commander Zextar finally asked. "Respect," Admiral Foster replied simply. "We want to be treated as equals, not as children who need protection, or threats that need controlling." "And if our governments refuse?" Dr. Velthana asked. Captain Martinez's voice came over the channel. "Doctor, we've been planning for every possible response for decades. We have contingencies for every scenario your people might try." The truth was becoming clear to all the alien commanders. Humanity hadn't just prepared for first contact. They had prepared for every possible outcome, including war, and they were ready to win. President Maria Santos walked into the meeting room deep beneath Washington, D.C. The room had been built 50 years ago for this exact purpose. Around the large table sat the leaders of Earth's secret space program, and their alien guests. Commander. Zexstar looked uncomfortable in the human-sized chair. Ambassador Thelmos glowed softly in the corner, his crystal body reflecting the rune's lights. Dr. Velfana stood near the wall, her insect-like form perfectly still as she listened through her hive-mind connection. "Gentlemen," President Santos said as she sat down, "let's be honest with each other." Professor Ben Davis opened a folder filled with documents. "We've been listening to your communications since 1923. That's when we first picked up radio signals from the Velkari Empire." Zexstar shifted in his chair. "That's impossible." "Our encryption was broken in 1954, Professor Davis interrupted. "Dr. Grace Miller, would you explain?" Dr. Miller stood up and activated a holographic display. Images of alien ships and star. Charts filled the air above the table. "We've been studying all of you for over a century," she said. "We know your trade routes, your military strengths, your political problems. We know which of your species are peaceful and which ones aren't." The display showed detailed maps of alien territories. Every planet, every space station, every fleet. Position was marked with perfect accuracy. Dr. Velfana spoke through her translator. "You have been to our worlds?" "Not physically," Dr. Miller replied, "but we've been watching. Our observation posts have been recording everything for decades." "Ambassador." Thelmos flickered with surprise. "What observation posts?" Fleet Admiral Kyle Brooks took over the presentation. "We've had hidden stations throughout the galaxy for 30 years. Small, invisible platforms that watch and listen." The holographic display changed to show dozens of small objects floating. In space, they were positioned near every major alien world and trade route. "Your people fly past them every day," Admiral Brooks continued, "but your sensors can't detect them. We learned stealth technology by studying how you track ships." Commander Zexstar was getting angry. "You've been spying on us for 30 years? "Learning from you," President Santos corrected. "You've taught us about faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, and shield technology. We've taken your ideas and improved on them." The display showed human ships that looked nothing like anything the aliens had seen. They were sleek and fast, with weapon systems that seemed impossible. "These are your ships?" Zexstar asked. "Some of them," Admiral Brooks replied. "We've built over 300 vessels in the past 20 years. Most of them are hidden in deep space, waiting." "Waiting for what?" Dr. Velfana asked. "For this conversation," President Santos said simply. Ambassador Claire Watson stood up and walked to the display. "We know that several alien races have policies about primitive species. Some of you want to help less advanced races. Others prefer to control them." She touched the display, and it showed recordings of alien council meetings. The 3 alien representatives recognized their own people talking about Earth policy. "We recorded this discussion from the Velkari High Command last year," Watson continued. Quote, "When we make contact with the humans, they will need guidance. They are too dangerous to be left alone." Zexstar's skin changed color with embarrassment. "That was a private military briefing." "Nothing is private when you broadcast it on radio waves," Watson replied. "We also have recordings from the Crystalline Confederation discussing whether humans should be relocated for their own safety." Ambassador Thelmos dimmed noticeably. Those were theoretical discussions. "And from the hive mind," Watson continued, "plans to study human aggression by putting our entire species under observation." Dr. Velfana remained silent, but her translator made clicking sounds of distress. "President." Santos stood up and walked around the table. "Gentlemen, we appreciate that some of you have good intentions, but we've heard the debates. We know that many galactic species see us as either pets to be protected or threats to be controlled, so we decided to take a different approach," added Dr. Grace Miller. We would introduce ourselves as equals. The holographic display changed again, showing Earth's hidden military installations. Massive orbital platforms surrounded the planet. Underground cities housed millions of people working on advanced technology. On the moon, huge factories built ships and weapons. "This is all hidden?" Commander Zextar asked in amazement. "From your sensors, yes," Admiral Brooks replied. "We've learned to hide from every type of detection system you use." Engineer Maya Lopez took over the presentation. "We've also improved on your technology. Our faster-than-light drives are 30% more efficient than yours. Our weapons have twice the range. Our shields can stop anything in your current arsenal." "That's impossible," Zextar protested. "We've been developing this technology for thousands of years. And we've been studying your work for 100 years. Lopez replied, "When you know exactly how something works, it's easy to make it better." Dr. Miller activated another display. "We've also developed technologies that you don't have. Quantum communication, temporal shields, gravity manipulation. Things your scientists said were impossible." The three alien representatives sat in stunned silence as they realized what humanity had accomplished. "You built all of this in secret?" Dr. Velthana finally asked. "We had motivation," President Santos replied. "We knew that someday we would meet you. We wanted that meeting to be on our terms." Intelligence Director Kate Lewis stepped forward. "We also have people living among your populations. Human agents who look like your species, trained to blend in and gather information." "Shapeshifters?" Ambassador Thelmos asked. "Surgical modification and advanced disguises," Lewis replied. "We have observers in your governments, your militaries, your research facilities. They've been reporting back to Earth for 15 years. Commander Zextar stood up abruptly. "This is an act of war. You've invaded our space, spied on our people, stolen our technology. We've prepared for the future," President Santos replied calmly. "And we've done it without harming anyone. Your people are safe. Your secrets are safe with us. We only took knowledge, not lives." "But now you know everything about us," Dr. Velthana observed. "Yes," President Santos agreed. "And you know almost nothing about us. That gives us an advantage in these negotiations." Ambassador Watson sat down across from the alien representatives. "Here's what we propose. Earth joins the galactic community as a full member, with all the rights and responsibilities that implies. We share some of our technology with friendly species. In return, you treat us as equals, not as primitives who need guidance." "And if we refuse?" Commander Zextar asked. Admiral Brooks smiled coldly. "Then you'll discover just how much we've learned from studying your military tactics." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just prepared for first contact. They had prepared for war. President Santos softened her tone. "But we'd rather be friends. The galaxy is a big place. There's room for all of us to prosper together." She looked at each alien representative in turn. "The question is, are you ready to welcome humanity as an equal partner? Or do we need to have a different kind of conversation?" The three aliens looked at each other, realizing that everything they thought they knew about first contact had just changed forever. Commander Zextar stood on the bridge of his flagship as they entered the human solar system. His fleet of 12 ships moved slowly toward the third planet from the star. According to their old charts, this world called Earth was home to about 7 billion primitive beings. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, "I'm getting some strange readings." Zextar looked at the display. "What kind of strange?" "There are structures in space that shouldn't be there. Large ones, and they single quotes hiding." Before Zextar could respond, his communication system came alive. A calm voice spoke in perfect Velkari language. "Welcome to the Sol System, Commander. Zexstar. This is Admiral Karen Foster of the Earth Defense Fleet. Please hold your position while we discuss the rescue of our people. Zexstar's mouth fell open. How did they know his name? How did they know his language? And what was this Earth Defense Fleet? Sir, the sensor officer's voice was shaking. No. You need to see this. The main screen lit up with images from around the solar system. Hidden behind asteroids were massive space stations. Patrol ships that were somehow invisible before now appeared on sensors. Near the planet called Mars, an entire fleet of human ships waited in formation. This is impossible. Zexstar whispered. On Earth, Admiral Karen Foster sat in the command center buried deep under the Rocky Mountains. She had been waiting for this day for 30 years. Around her, dozens of officers worked at their stations, tracking every alien ship that entered their space. "Ma'am," said Captain Nina Rodriguez, "the crystalline ships are arriving from the south. The hive mind fleet is coming from the east." Karen nodded. "Right on schedule. Dr. Parker, are you ready?" Dr. Ryan Parker looked up from his translation computer. "Yes, ma'am. We have working language programs for all 17 races. We've been studying their communications for decades." Karen smiled. The aliens thought they were coming to rescue a primitive species. They had no idea what humanity had really been doing for the past century. On the space station Olympus 7, Jake Morrison watched his crew sleep. They had been floating in the cold dark for 6 hours now. Life support had failed completely. But somehow, they were still alive. Jake didn't understand how. The air should have run out. The temperature should have dropped to freezing. But the station felt normal, even comfortable. "Jake," Dr. Lisa Chong whispered, "look outside." Jake moved to the window and gasped. A sleek ship was attached to their station. It was clearly human design, but unlike anything he had ever seen. It was beautiful and deadly looking at the same time. How is this possible? He asked. The answer came through the station's communication system. "This is Captain Danny Martinez of the UES New Horizon. We're here to take you home." Jake had never heard of the UES or any ship called New Horizon. But the voice was definitely human, speaking perfect English with a slight accent from Texas. "Who are you people?" Jake asked. "We'll explain everything once you're safe. For now, just know that you did exactly what you were supposed to do." Back in space, Commander Zexstar was getting more confused by the minute. 3 different alien fleets had arrived in the human system, all responding to the same distress call. But instead of finding helpless primitives, they found a species that seemed ready for them. "Commander," his communication officer reported, "the humans are talking to all 3 fleets at the same time. In our languages, that's not possible. They only sent their first message 3 days ago." "Sir, I think they've been listening to us for much longer than that." The truth was starting to dawn on Zexstar. This wasn't a first contact situation. This was something else entirely. On the human flagship, Admiral Karen Foster opened a channel to all 3 alien fleets. "Gentlemen," she said, speaking in 3 different languages at once, "thank you for responding to our distress call. Your quick response shows the kind of galactic community we hope to join." Ambassador Thelnos of the Crystalline Confederation was the first to respond. His light-based communication translated into words that all races could understand. "How do you know our languages? How do you have such advanced ships? Our charts show your species as primitive." Karen's smile could be heard in her voice. "Your charts are a bit out of date, Ambassador. We've been busy. Double quotes. Dr. Velfena spoke for the hive mind. You have been watching us. Learning from you, Karen." Corrected. "We've been listening to galactic communications since the 1920s. Your people have taught you much about the universe, though you didn't know you were teaching." The 3 alien commanders shared a moment of shocked silence. Then Zexstar spoke up. You've been spying on us for 100 years? We prefer the term preparing, Karen replied. We knew that someday we would meet our galactic neighbors. We wanted to be ready. General Alex Turner, head of Earth's Secret Space Command, took over the communication. We've spent the last century learning your languages, studying your cultures, and developing technology that would let us defend ourselves if needed. Defend yourselves? Zextar asked. We came to help you. And we appreciate that, General Turner replied. But we also know that not every species in the galaxy has good intentions. We've heard your military communications, too. The alien commanders realized what this meant. If humans had been listening to everything, they knew about every war, every conflict, every secret plan that had been discussed over radio waves for the past 100 years. Dr. Ryan Parker opened a private channel to Dr. Velthana. Doctor, we've read your papers on quantum biology. Your work on hive mind connections helped us develop our own communication systems. Velthana was amazed. You understood our research? We understand more than you might think. We've been studying all of you for a very long time. Meanwhile, Captain Nina Rodriguez was piloting her ship toward the alien fleets. Her vessel was small compared to their massive warships, but it moved with a grace that impressed even the experienced alien crews. How are your ships so advanced? Commander Zextar asked. You should be centuries behind us in technology. Captain Rodriguez laughed. Commander, when you know you're going to meet neighbors who have better weapons than you work extra hard to catch up. The truth was becoming clear to all three alien fleets. Humanity wasn't a primitive species crying for help. They were a prepared species announcing their arrival. Admiral Foster opened one final channel to all the alien ships. Gentlemen, our people are safe. Our station crew has been rescued. We thank you for your quick response to our distress call. But now we have something else to discuss. What? All three commanders asked at once. The terms of Earth's membership in the galactic community. There was a long silence as the aliens processed this. Then Commander Zextar spoke for all of them. You planned this entire thing, didn't you? Admiral Foster's smile was definitely audible now. Commander, we've been planning this conversation for 100 years. We just needed the right way to start it. As the alien fleets hung in space around Earth, they began to understand that they weren't conducting a rescue mission. They were witnesses to humanity's official introduction to the galaxy. And humanity had just shown that they were nobody's junior partners. The alarm screamed through the control room of Space Station Olympus 7. Red lights flashed across every screen as Captain Jake Morrison floated toward the main console. His hands moved quickly over the buttons, but the numbers kept getting worse. How bad is it? Asked Dr. Lisa Chong. She pushed herself through the narrow hallway, her face pale in the emergency lighting. Behind her, 10 other crew members waited for an answer they all feared. Jake looked at the readings again. The solar storm had hit them harder than anyone thought possible. The station's power systems were failing one by one. Life support would last maybe 6 hours. The rescue ships from Earth were still 3 days away. We need help, Jake said quietly. And we need it now. Lisa nodded and moved to her station. For 2 years, she had worked on a secret project. The quantum communication array was supposed to be tested next month. But next month would be too late. I can try the new system, she said, but I don't know if it will work. Do it, Jake replied. 300 light years away. Commander Zextar was enjoying his morning meal when his communication officer started making excited clicking sounds. The tall reptilian being set down his food and walked to the bridge of his ship. What is it? Zextar asked. Sir, we are getting a signal, but it should not be possible. The communication officer, a smaller member of the Velcari race, pointed at his screen. Strange symbols filled the display, pulsing with an odd rhythm. The signal is coming from the edge of the galaxy, from a system we have never seen before. But, sir, the frequency they are using. No primitive species should know about quantum channels. Zextar studied the display. In his 40 years of service, he had seen many first contact situations. Young races usually sent simple radio signals that took years to reach anyone. This was different. This signal had arrived instantly across hundreds of light years. "Can you understand what they are saying?" he asked. "Working on it now, sir. The language is new, but the mathematical base is impressive." On the other side of the galaxy, Dr. Velthana felt the message through her hive mind connection. The insect-like being shared thoughts with a million others of her kind, but this signal was something none of them had experienced. The message was simple but clear. A space station was dying. 12 people needed help. They gave their location and asked if anyone could hear them. But the strange part was how they sent it. The humans had used quantum entanglement to make their message appear everywhere at once. Only the most advanced races knew this technology. How could a species that had never left their home system know such things? Velthana shared her confusion. With her hive sisters, they all agreed on one thing. This was not normal. Back on Olympus 7, Lisa watched her equipment with worry. The quantum array was working, but it was using the last of their power. She had sent the message to 17 different points in space, hoping someone would hear them. "Did it work?" Jake asked. "I think so. The signal went out, but I don't know if anyone received it." Jake looked around the station. The lights were getting dimmer. The air was getting stale. They had maybe 5 hours left. "We did what we could," he said to his crew. "Now we wait." In the crystalline Confederation capital, Ambassador Thelmos felt the vibrations of the message through his crystal body. His people communicated through light and sound, and this human message had a beautiful pattern to it. But like the others, he was confused. The message came from a star system that was marked as primitive in all their charts. The last survey, done 50 years ago, had shown a race that was just beginning to explore space. They had barely reached their own moon. How could they now be using quantum communication? Thelmos called for an emergency meeting of the Confederation Council. This was something they needed to discuss. On 17 different worlds, similar meetings were taking place. The human distress call had reached every major power in the galaxy at the same time. This had never happened before. Some races wanted to ignore the call. Humans were unknown and far away. Why should they care about 12 dying people? Others were curious. How had these humans learned to use quantum channels? What other surprises might they have? The Velkari Empire decided to investigate. Commander Zextar received orders to take his fleet to the human system. The journey would take 3 days using their fastest ships. "Prepare the fleet," Zextar told his officers. "We will see what these humans are really capable of." Back on the dying space station, Jake Morrison checked the time again. 4 hours left. The crew was gathering in the main room, trying to stay calm. Some were writing messages to their families. Others just sat quietly, looking out at the stars. Lisa worked at her station until the very end. She monitored all frequencies, hoping to hear an answer to their call for help. But space remained silent. "Maybe no one heard us," she said. Jake put his hand on her shoulder. "Maybe, but at least we tried." What none of them knew was that their simple distress call had already changed everything. Across the galaxy, fleets were moving. Governments were meeting. Scientists were asking questions they had never thought to ask before. The humans had sent an SOS, but they had also announced their arrival to the galaxy in a way that no one could ignore. 3 days later, as the crew of Olympus 7 was running out of air, the first alien ships began to arrive at the edge of Earth's solar system. They came expecting to find a primitive race in need of rescue. They were about to discover that they had greatly underestimated humanity.